Keyword searching. It's something we all do. Anytime you put a word or phrase into Google, or any database for that matter, and try to get information, you're doing a keyword search. You notice that many times when you do a keyword search, it returns a large number of results. The reason is because when you're doing that, the database is searching for that word or phrase in every field of a citation, such as the ones you see in red here. This will cause you to get a large number of results, and not always are those results totally related to what you're doing. Partly because if, say, your word is feedback, or the term you're looking for is feedback, it's here in the abstract. And this is the only place it may be discussed or even appear in the article. And therefore, this article will show up in your search, but you'll notice that this particular article has nothing really to do with feedback. And so therefore, you'll have to look at this article, evaluate it, and then determine if it's for you. Another example is the PubMed citation you see before you, where everything in red are examples of where a keyword search searches. Whereas if you're just doing a subject heading search, as I referred in another video, it only searches one field of the citation, the subject heading field. Whereas when you're doing a keyword search, it will search everywhere. While keyword searching does give you a lot of stuff, and sometimes unrelated articles, there are times when you should use it. If you're ever searching for a new term, such as some disease you see in the news, you may end up having to use keywords. If the term is rare, or if there isn't a subject heading for it, you'll have to use keywords. Another time that you have to use keywords is when there are spelling variations, such as the difference between the European spelling of color and the American spelling of color. In those cases, you would have to do a keyword search in order to account for both types of spelling to ensure you're getting all the articles on a particular topic. When it comes to searching with keywords, there are a couple disadvantages. Probably the major disadvantage, as I've alluded to, is that it's harder to do a focus search because it searches all over the citation and as a result gives you a lot of unrelated results. One of the other disadvantages is you must use several terms to describe the same thing to do a complete search. As you know, many times when you are looking at a concept or a topic, there may be several different words you can use to describe it. If you're going to do a complete search with keywords, you're going to have to become a human thesaurus and think up all of those terms. The drawback to that is many times you may not be familiar with those terms and be able to come up with them readily. Because many times our vocabulary is predicated by our background, what we're familiar with, as well as our perspective, how you're addressing a particular topic. Say the difference between how a doctor addresses a patient as compared to how a nurse addresses a patient. An example of what I'm talking about is in reference to this red can. Think of this red can like an article and think of 5 different descriptors you would use for it. I can guarantee if I showed you the 5 different descriptors of other people who describe the can, there would be some similarities and differences. If you want to see what I'm talking about, before you use a Wordle that shows you when I've used this in class, all of the different descriptors I have received in reference to that red can. You'll notice in the larger type are all the similar terms, but there are other ones on this list that are very obscure to some people, are things that you may not have thought of. Now, when it comes to the can and it comes to doing a search, if you're thinking of it like an article, you may find that one person describes it this way and another person describes it this way. Now, the problem is if there are similarities in the two descripting lists, as you can see before you. If these are used in trying to find this can, and say it was an article in a database, then it would be very easy to find it. The problem would be is if any of the other terms had been used. If, say, the person had used pop can as a descriptor for the can in a database, and think of the can as an article, and the other person searched for it as Coke can, This can, if it were an article, would never appear. And so the one thing that's always key when it comes to doing a keyword search is you must have several different ways to describe a term or an idea, because it may not always be described the way that you intend it to be described. Now, when it comes to using keywords, if you have to use them, there are a couple tips that you can use in order to be more effective. One is, at times you can use what's called truncation, which is where you can put a star before or after a term, and what it will do is it will enable the database, or you're telling the database, to add either a prefix, all the available prefixes, or all the available suffixes. The reason this is useful is because sometimes when you're doing a keyword search, you may not know if someone has either described the term or topic singular or plural, in which this could help. Another tip that might be useful to you is grouping, using quotation marks. What this will do for you is it forces the database to search an item as a phrase. Without quotes, what you're doing is you're either letting the database search whatever way it wants, or if it's a phrase, such as hospital-acquired infection, what's happening is the database is putting an and between each one. So hospital and acquired and infection. And what that does to your search is it makes it so you're not always getting just hospital-acquired infection, but you're getting also articles where any of those terms might show up. I will show both of these in a moment in a example in PubMed. A third thing that you can do is take advantage of searching with specific citation fields in the databases. The two best ones to use are the title and the abstract, because these are the two fields in a citation that really allow you to understand what the article's about, and so therefore the phrase or the word that you're looking for should show up there if it's addressed in this particular article. In PubMed, you would do this by using the advanced search feature, which I'll show you, or you could use a tag of TIAB, which you see just below that. In each case, what you're able to do is either force the database, PubMed in this instance, to search for the title or abstract, either by using the drop-down menu in advanced search or by putting this tag beside the term. CINAHL also has drop-down boxes that allow you to do the same thing, that are right beside the search box that you would place a term in. Now let me show you an example of how this works in PubMed. Now, to show you how this works in PubMed, as you know, if you search cross-infection as a keyword and click search, you're going to get a lot of results. And part of that is because when you get these searches, they're keyword searches, it will search for this particular term all over the citation. But you'll also notice this is a phrase, and so as I told you before, if you don't have it in quotation marks, it's going to search it as cross and infection. So what you'll notice in this first particular citation, cross and infection appear, but it's not necessarily cross infection, which is what the topic is that I'm looking for. If I want to make it so it searches it just as a phrase, what I can do is put it in quotation marks. What this will also do is not only force the database to search this as a phrase, but it will also decrease the number of articles I get, because now the database isn't looking for a bunch of words, it's looking for just a particular phrase. And so if I click search, you'll notice that I can get cross-infection as a phrase here. And that will help me to really narrow down my search and ensures that cross-infection, as you can see right here in this first one, only shows up as a phrase and therefore has to be discussed in some way in this particular article. Doesn't mean it's a major topic of the paper, but it's at least touched upon. Now, I also told you another way that you can really help yourself is when you're doing these searches, you might also want to make sure that the particular database you're using searches for both the plural and the singular. You can do that by using uh, a star either before or after the particular term you're looking for. What this forces the database to do is to either attach every possible prefix or every possible suffix. So what you'll notice if I put the star here at the end of cross-infection and hit search is I'm going to go from a very few 48,000 articles to a greater number because the database is going to look for it in a different way. Now in this case, as I go and I look, it does go and it searches it a little bit differently. And if I click on advanced here, I can see a slight difference. Now in this case, it only did a little bit of good for me. I went from 48,360 to 48,493. Now if I go back and search and look at this search a bit more, you may wonder why didn't I get more articles. The reason is because when you are in a particular database, if you put anything at the end here, such as a star, and I'll go down here and show you, the database will search it automatically as a phrase, and that's why I don't have it in quotation marks. So you can see here in the search details it says cross-infection or cross-infections, and it searched it in all fields and kept it together as a phrase. Now, I also told you one of the things that you may want to do is you may want to go in here to advanced and search a particular piece of the citation. The reason the way you do that is by coming here, looking at the builder here, dropping this down, and you'll notice that every piece of the citation is listed in alphabetical order. In this case, I told you that title abstract is probably the most useful if you're looking for a particular topic. Now, of course, if you're looking for a particular author, the ones here towards the top that say author may also be useful. But in general, title and abstract is the best way to go when doing a topic or looking for a particular subject when using keywords. So now this time, if I put cross-infection in here, what you'll notice is that I can hit search, and the database this time won't search all over the citation. It's only going to search the title and the abstract. And I go from 48,000 down to 2,562 because it's just searching the title and abstract. You'll notice if I scroll down, the search details says cross-infection, title, abstract. And so as a result, it searches it automatically as a phrase. I don't have to put it in quotation marks. Now the other way that you could have done this, as I've mentioned in the previous slide, is to put TIAB in the box. What this will do is it'll search it just as title abstract. And so I can hit search, and what you'll notice is I'll get the same number of results, 2,562. And using these particular tips are a good way for you to kind of either expand your search, which you can do by using truncation, or you can narrow your search a little bit by either searching a particular field of the citation or by searching as searching for just the particular phrase or term that you're looking for. In review, keep in mind that you're going to have to use keywords anytime that there is a new term or no subject heading for a particular topic that you're looking for. Also remember to use more than one term to describe the same thing in a database, because there's always more than one way to describe something, and therefore to ensure that you've done a more complete search, you're going to have to come up with alternative terms or synonyms for what you're looking for. Lastly, you need to make sure that in order to make sure your search is more complete or more focused, you may want to take advantage of searching just specific fields of citation and take advantage of truncation and grouping when you can.